Good morning. Greg Latza here with Wallace Ennis. I'm part of the wholesale sales team based out of the Franklin Lakes, New Jersey office, and happy to be a part of today's class. We're going to basically focus on the Lochinvar residential boiler line, and we're going to hit at a high level some installation, service, and maintenance slides, as well as some other informative information that you'll take with you today. Pretty sure we're going to get you out of here before the 12 o'clock mark that this is originally scheduled to end. There'll be a chat box where you can place your questions, and we'll answer them as they come in, if it makes sense and we're able to. Otherwise, we could answer them at the end. If you want to reserve your questions to the end, that's fine too. So let's get right into it. Wallace Ennis is a manufacturer's representative. We represent about 20 lines, meaning we've partnered with some premier manufacturers to be the marketing and sales arm in our territory, the greater New York, New Jersey area. You know we're Lochinvar. I'll touch on a couple others that you certainly should know us for: Bell & Gossett, Sentinel, McDonald Miller, and Panasonic. Panasonic's one of our newer lines that premieres a full line of ductless mini splits. So, just at a glance, again, what Wallace Ennis does, what we do in the field, what we're involved with. Commercial, industrial, residential heating, domestic hot water is really the name of our game. As I mentioned, I'm from the Franklin Lakes office. Just a snapshot of some to give you an idea of what we do there. We do have a warehouse there. We have a warehouse in an office in Plainview, New York. Basically, that's to support the territory, to support our wholesalers, and to support our contractors. Lochinvar, proudly made in the USA. So, condenser boiler service and maintenance, again, is a topic that we're going over at a high level today. Why do we use condensing boilers and water heaters? Well, gas condensing boilers provide the highest possible efficiency. They offer simple, cost-effective solutions to expensive venting systems, and they can solve cramped mechanical room issues because of their small footprint. The boilers also modulate to match input of heat loss, which results in maximum efficiencies. They provide the most efficient means to heat domestic hot water, and efficiencies are going to range between 95 and 98%. We have configurations available as low as 125,000 BTUs up to 4 million BTUs. That's certainly with our commercial equipment, but we have those capabilities. Here's just an overview of the Lochinvar lineup, including the very popular night boiler, the Noble fire tube combination boiler water heater, wall hung, great product, offered in 3 models. The Noble boiler only, offered in 4 models. We're not showing the 199, but we do have, there it is, we do have the 199. 10-year heat exchanger warranty, 5-year parts warranty. Again, made in the USA. Again, here's an expanded view of the Knight family. The Knight family comes with a 15-year warranty on the heat exchanger and 5-year on parts. Capabilities for residential applications up to 1 million now BTU with the newest Knight XL boiler. Otherwise, we have plenty of models starting from as low as 55,000 and again up to 1 million. Wall hung or floor mount. The FTXL is ideal for light commercial and certainly residential applications with their higher BTUs. Anything from certainly just a large space for heating needs, or driveway melt systems, that kind of thing. Here's a snapshot of our Armor product family for water heating. Up to 96% thermal efficiency. 8 models on the condensing water heater. And I always like to include the fact that if you don't know, we have pool heaters, now you know. Lochinvar is actually, again, a leading manufacturer of boilers and water heaters. It only makes sense for them to have a line of pool heaters as well. The Energy Right line shown to the left has been the most popular mover for Lochinvar in residential and even light commercial applications. Well, where does our stuff end up? Well, we're talking about some residential products, so I'm showing 2 residential photos here. There's a single-family home and another single-family home. 2 different configurations, but both are an indirect or a storage tank is paired with a night boiler in one photo, and then we just have a night boiler shown in this photo here. Venting. So venting and approved materials. This is pretty neat because we do allow PVC and CPVC pipe. Of course, that can be an issue in certain municipalities, as most of us know, certainly including New York City. Stainless steel, AL294C rigid pipe, AL294C flexible pipe, polypropylene, which must be approved first, and don't use foam core. This snapshot is really just showing you some venting configurations, whether it be direct vent or a concentric. We go vertical with sidewall air. If the space permits, we show here where we're using room air. Concentric vent is limited to just certain models. So this is rule number 1, pretty elementary, but it happens. Make sure that we're venting the flue products outside of the building. Again, sidewall ventings can be a problem depending on local codes, but here's a snapshot of maybe not a good location. There's another snapshot of maybe not a good location. So these pictures are silly, but these are real life photos. This stuff happens. I've run into a lot of problems in the field where someone thinks it's the boiler itself and it's simply an error due to venting. So venting's critical, and you want to rely on us as the rep for Lochinvar to help you through that phase of the job if required. We're happy to do that for you. Again, we don't want to obstruct any intakes. We want to carefully review the venting system. Look for things like condensate dripping, making sure that we're airtight. Check the gas codes, know your codes. Correct and document venting issues. So you want to really make sure that you advise the owner of any problems or potential problems you might see with an incorrectly vented setup, if that's something you face. We know incorrect venting can lead to serious consequences. Touch on some gas here and the gas supply requirements. 51 to 211 models have a half-inch connection. 286 models, and these numbers might have slightly changed, have a 3/4 inch connection. 400 to 801 models have a 1 inch NPT connection. So gas lines must be sized as per the National Fuel Gas Code line sizing tables. Also take note, when installing flexible gas lines, ensure that the line has an adequate capacity to allow boiler to fire at full input. Very important. Installing gas, we need for natural gas models, we need a maximum 14-inch water column, a minimum of 4-inch water column. And if we're talking about liquid propane, we're talking 14-inch water column again, but the minimum will be the 8-inch on that. Beware of sharp pressure drop on the inlet pressure when the unit starts. How to measure gas pressure. Let's take a look.
The information contained in this video is intended as an aid to a qualified installing contractor or service technician. It is not intended to replace the installation or service manuals. That are supplied with the equipment. Locate the on-off switch on the back of the unit. Turn the switch to the off position. Turn off the main gas supply to the unit at the external main manual gas valve. Grasp the top panel at the front lower edge. Lift the panel up and pull it away from the unit. Locate the inlet gas pressure tap on the gas valve. The pressure tap will be the first connection on the gas valve. Using a screwdriver, loosen the set screw at least 1 full turn. Connect a manometer with a scale up to 14 inches water column to the fitting on the gas valve. Turn on the main gas supply to the unit at the external main manual gas valve. Observe the static gas pressure on the manometer. For natural gas units, the inlet gas pressure should be between 4 inches water column and 14 inches water column. For propane units, the inlet gas pressure should be between 8 inches water column and 14 inches water column. If the inlet gas pressure is not within these ranges, contact the gas utility, gas supplier, or installer to determine necessary steps to provide proper gas pressure to the unit. If the static inlet gas pressure is adequate, the inlet gas pressure under load may be checked. Turn the on-off switch to the on position. Locate the pinhole button on the display. Using a paper clip or something similar, press and hold the button for 5 seconds. The word service will appear on the status line of the display. The unit will fire at its normal ignition speed and will then modulate its firing rate to 100%. During service mode, the control will ignore all other heat demands. However, safeties and maximum set point temperatures will be active. If no other buttons are pushed, the control will automatically revert back to its original state after the service mode delay has expired. The default time for the service mode delay is 10 minutes. Once the unit has modulated its firing rate up to 100%, observe the inlet gas pressure. If the inlet gas pressure is not within the proper range, contact the gas utility, gas supplier, or installer to determine necessary steps to provide proper gas pressure to the unit. If a pressure drop of more than 1 inch water column occurs, contact the gas utility, gas supplier, or installer as required to determine the necessary steps to correct the problem. Once the testing is complete, press the right select key to take the unit out of service mode. The unit will return to normal operation. turn the on-off switch to the off position. Shut off the main gas supply to the unit at the external main manual gas valve. Remove the manometer from the inlet pressure tap on the gas valve. Retighten the set screw on the pressure tap. Turn on the main gas supply to the unit at the external main manual gas valve. Using a leak test solution, check the inlet pressure tap on the gas valve for leaks. Seal any leaks before placing the unit into operation. Replace the top panel on the unit. Turn the on-off switch to the on position. The unit is now ready to accept a heat demand. If there are questions regarding this procedure after reviewing the video and the installation and service manuals, please contact the Lochinvar Technical Service Department.
Condensate. Installation and condensate. So we certainly want to use the condensate trap. This is pretty much what you'd see coming along with a night boiler. Drains to a floor drain. On our FTXL boiler, which a few slides back I kind of mentioned they were for large residential or light commercial. We have a trap, condensate trap built into the unit. And neutralizing condensate, very important, because we condensate quite a bit, just about a gallon per hour for every 100,000 BTUs when at full condensing mode. So larger units use larger neutralization kits in that manner. You don't want to connect the condensate lines with copper or it will rot out pretty quick. So we advise using PVC. Again, just an illustration of the kit connected to the factory supplied union and draining into a pour drain or certainly a condensate pump. Kind of another illustration. And we are on to piping. So Lochinvar has the ability to furnish some piping layouts, piping diagrams for you, just to assist on certain projects where you might require them as part of a submittal or just for your own knowledge on how to install a bunch of boilers in parallel, that kind of thing. So this shows an FTXL 4, in fact, and how flow rates can range as low as 10 gallons per minute up to 150 gallons per minute. A full flow system can reduce installation costs by eliminating the need for primary, secondary piping and pumps. We're maintaining consistent delta T throughout modulation range with our variable speed boiler pump. Reduces boiler cycles. That's a picture of a Bell & Gossett EcoCirc pump. Boiler design considerations, load match. Basically, we're saving energy, we're reducing pump power, and we're matching delta T to system delta T at all rates of fire. This also prevents high limit lockouts. Modulating boilers are really the way to go. There's fixed flow boiler pump with the modulating boiler. We're using the Night XL 500,000 BTU as the example here. variable flow boiler pump using that same Knight XL as the example. What's inside the series of Knight boilers? Let's see what's behind the curtain. So we have a water tube heat exchanger design. It's the material stainless steel. So we don't need to monitor system pH. This is completely welded. No O-rings or gaskets to wear, tear, break, replace. Multi-pass pattern for the flue gases. Stainless steel outer jacket. ASME construction. And we're rated at 145 psi on our 286,000 to 800,000 BTU units, and we're rated up to, at 60 psi from our smaller 80 to 286 BTU. More of a look inside the combustion system, negative regulation system. So the speed of the fan adjusts to the volume of fuel and air drawn into the burner. And again, as stated in the video and in the slide earlier, the operation will need gas supply, will work on gas supply as low as 4 inches water column. So the combustion system inside the Knight and the Noble here actually is metal fiber material. This is a 360-degree design, as you can see by the photo. Direct spark ignition and a 5-to-1 turn down ratio. Stainless steel heat exchanger, again, fire tube design, not water tube. Water-backed combustion chamber, ASME construction. This is welded robotically. We have a condensate collection tray and low water friction loss. I love this photo because it's really a true cutaway of our stainless steel fire tube heat exchanger. It's baffled, as you can see, to give the water flow direction. The water flow takes a path, kind of a meandering path, from the bottom to the top and around the combustion chamber.
Negative regulation technology is a key component in modern modulating boilers, due in large part to its safety characteristics. All negative regulation systems are made up of the same basic components. These include a negative regulation gas valve, a Venturi, and a fan. A standard combination gas valve will open when voltage is applied, allowing the regulated gas pressure to pass through. A negative regulation gas valve requires suction pressure in order to open the seats and allow the regulated gas pressure to pass through the valve. This suction pressure is generated inside a Venturi. The airflow through the Venturi is based on the RPM of the fan in the negative regulation system. When the fan is energized, a proportional amount of air passes through the Venturi. Based on the Venturi effect, as the RPM of the fan is increased, the amount of gas supplied by the gas valve increases also based on suction pressure. Conversely, as the RPM decreases, the gas supplied by the gas valve is also decreased. The air path inside the Venturi is then reduced in size, increasing the velocity of the air at this point. The increased velocity creates a suction or negative pressure inside the Venturi. This is known as the Venturi effect. The higher the air velocity, the higher the negative pressure. This negative pressure is necessary to pull the gas from the negative regulation gas valve proportionally. Just remember, the fan speed determines the output of a negative regulation gas valve based on the Venturi effect. The air and gas is mixed in the Venturi, and these pre-mixed gases are sent into the burner through the fan.
Controls. Smart system controls is what Lochinvar refers to their control system as. Things like outdoor resets, outdoor air sensors, domestic hot water as priority, for pump control, freeze protection, runtime and alarm contacts, high voltage, low voltage terminal strips, a time clock, data logging, a maintenance reminder, low water flow safety control and indication, and password security are all part of our smart system. So domestic hot water Recirc pump control. This shows you an illustration of the Circ pump. We are able to cascade and link multiple units together. Outdoor sensor system sensor and heat demand. This shows a, well, what you'll see just right off the bat with this photo is a smart, on our smart system control display. It's just very simple, plain English. The next slide shows that even more so. Very easy to follow, menus and prompts. We have, as an option, a wireless outdoor sensor. As another option, and this one's a good one, is our Connexus. Very user-friendly. It's a remote connectivity feature. That's an option again. It's now available on all residential night products and the FTXL fire tube boiler. It's also available as a retro kit to certain models. Just you know, see us as the rep if you're interested to know if you can retrofit this to a model you have in a customer's location. Like I said, it's wireless connectivity right to your smart device. Why would we use that? It can be a revenue opportunity for you as the contractor. This can kind of aid to you landing a service contract and be able to monitor the system from the comfort of your own couch, really. The cloud service is free with the purchase of the control. Total remote access. Again, you could offer this as an add-on, build it into the cost. It will help you, you can integrate it into a service, part of your service contract. It's peace of mind. And after the install, you kind of own the customer in a way. So real neat feature. Here's like kind of a close-up view on maybe what you'll see across your smart device if you have the Connexus system. Maintenance and service. So startup procedure. So naturally, we want to review the installation manual. We certainly have hopefully reviewed the job site already. Check the nameplate, sequence of operations, set to factory specifications, supply gas pressure, temperature rise, combustion analysis, etc. Maintenance and service. In general, we want to address reported problems. Inspect the interior, clean and vacuum if necessary. Clean condensate trap. Fill with fresh water. Obviously check for leaks. Water, gas, flue, condensate. Verify your flue and air lines are in good condition and sealed nice and tight. Check the water system pressure. Check system pressure, water pressure rather, system piping and expansion tank. Check fill water meter. Test boiler water. So when test indicates clean system water with approved system restorer following manufacturer's information. Check control settings. Check ignition and flame sensor electrodes. Sand off any deposits you find, clean and reposition. So water quality is always an issue, certainly in closed loop hydronic systems. Leads to failures, general corrosion, basically loss of efficiency and failures in a nutshell is what poor water quality conditions result in. We're going to use up more fuel when competing against this type of condition. We're going to have more units down, and we're going to see an increase in callbacks. So we want to be able to compete against water quality when facing this in closed loop hydronic systems. So something to always make yourself aware of. Again, bad water is going to equal premature component wear, breakdowns, downtime, callbacks. It's also going to greatly reduce heat transfer rates, up to 15%, and it will affect your efficiency rates too. Low flow areas, you'll have dead legs. What does this mean? Well, not your father's boiler. Well, it's not. It's not an old school cast iron, low efficiency boiler. Our narrow waterways on these high efficiency boilers are subject to clogging. Again, relating to poor water quality. Same holds true with the circulator, not your father's circulator. So ECM pumps, which are now compulsory, or basically follow, they're part of rules and regulations now and enforced, especially as of 2020. And they have a very low tolerance for magnetite, so we have to be able to compete against that. Other factors, affecting corrosion. So it's going to be your oxygen ingress, pH, the dissimilar metals that are coming in direct contact with one another, dissolved metals in solutions, temperature, mechanical stress, aggressive ions, sludge, and fouling. So conveniently, we represent Sentinel. Sentinel has terrific products, including this Vortex filtration system offered for the residential boilers, 3/4 and 1 inch connection, and the Boiler Mag XL, which is just a great way to filter out magnetite, is offered up to 1.5 inches, and that is part of the Boiler Mag line. Another Boiler Mag offered starts at 1.5 inches and goes through 12 inches. So what are we getting at? Lifetime protection for heating and hot water systems are important, and they're only going to be met if you're maintaining best practices. So it's very important to make sure we clean, protect, and maintain our closed loop hydronic systems. And as mentioned just a few seconds ago, using a product like Sentinel is certainly one way to do it. If we want to quickly remove corrosion deposits and scale, we have an X800 Cleaner. It's basically what we call a 1-hour cleaner. It basically dissolves corrosive debris. It works in cold systems and is very ideal in power flushing. system cleaner, Sentinel offers the X300. This is really for new heating systems. So new installs or new systems that are, inside of 6 months old. This is ideal. Very powerful, heavy-duty cleaner. Removes installation debris. It washes off any kind of manufacturing greases. Eliminates corrosive flux residue. Again, all tying into maybe what you'd find typical after a new installation. And we prevent harmful copper deposits from being left in the system. And it's basically preparing the system for protection with the X800 inhibitor. So without further ado, let's introduce the X800 inhibitor from Sentinel. So this is neat. It's simple. It's a twist and dose adapter, kind of a rapid dose is what we call it, and that's certainly what this is. 1 can is usually sufficient to treat a typical domestic central heating system. It can discharge into the system in 30 seconds. We don't need to depressurize or cool the system. And multi-location application combined with the twist and dose system. And again, very simple. Allows for 4 dosing methods. This is the heavy-duty inhibitor, the X800. Does a great job against lime and scale and corrosion. Energy saving, trusted, it's recommended. Again, we call it the triple tech. It's basically it's a superior product when it comes to anti-corrosion technology. All system metals this is suitable for. We have a pH neutral formulation. We're making sure that we maintain system efficiencies on where they should be. And very suitable for hard, soft, and artificially softened water. So in summary, it's really just a great, simple way to check that a system's treated and has been dosed to the correct level to protect against limescale and corrosion, which are 2 of the main culprits of system issues and breakdown. More on the X800, I think we've covered that. And as I mentioned, the 2 main culprits really of corrosion, of actually system failures and adverse problems are limescale and corrosion. So let's watch a video now on igniter replacement.
Begin by removing the top access panel and lifting it up and away from the unit. Then remove the wires from the ignition probe, flame sensor, and ground terminal. Using a TX20 Torx driver, remove the 2 screws holding the ignition probe in place. You can now slide the ignition probe out of the combustion chamber door by lifting it up and away. The gap between the ground probe and the ignition probe on the replacement igniter is greater than the original to prevent sparking on the upper section of the probe. This can make it difficult to slide the gasket in place. By squeezing the 2 probes together, the gasket will fit properly over the porcelain sleeve. Use care not to damage the gasket. If the gasket is damaged, it must be replaced. The gap in the probes can also stop the replacement igniter from sliding back into place. If this occurs, simply squeeze the probes together to allow the ignition probe to fit through the fiberboard material under the combustion chamber door. Once the igniter is in place, resecure it by using the 2 TX20 Torx screws that were removed earlier. Then reattach the ignition cable, flame sensor, and ground wire. Now replace the top access panel by snapping it in place. The unit is now ready to accept a heat demand.
So before I move to the next slide, I just want to point out that that slide started and ended with something called Lochinvar U. That's short for Lochinvar University. Lochinvar has put out a series of just terrific videos similar to this that are available for you to view through Lochinvar. So I think Lochinvar U, Lochinvar University, just another great resource available to you. I also want to jump to the chat box. Thank you, Chad. Chad is my counterpart in New Jersey. He had answered a question regarding the remote Connexus option. And John had asked, do you need Ethernet at the boiler to utilize remote monitoring? The answer Chad furnished was, with the Connexus, Wi-Fi in a mechanical room, or yes, an Ethernet cable. There is an accessory to any of the boilers for lawn works, BACnet IP or MSTP. Hope that answered your question, John. Chad, if you can take a look at Anthony's question from 9:15 a.m. and give a little reply when you get a chance, that would be great. And I think that would catch us up to the questions so far. So let's stay with maintenance.
Yeah, so thank you, Greg. Let's take a look. So Anthony, I believe you were making note of what Greg was explaining, that low gas, low carbon means low flame signal. I think that's at that point, that's what Greg was talking about. So I didn't see it as a question.
Okay.
I think that's what that was.
Okay.
But if it's something different, Anthony.
Yep. Okay, great. I tell you what, we're moving along at a great rate here. If you want to take, let's use 1 to 5 minute break today, and let's take that now, and let's reconvene in about 5 minutes. Okay. See everyone back in 5 minutes. All right, we'll get started in another minute. Okay, so we're back from break. Maintenance and service is what we're under here, and basically the service technician in general can expect to certainly check wiring and connections, perform startup checkout, and performance verification. We want to make sure our flame is stable and uniform. We want to make sure we see at least 10 microamps at high fire on the flame signal. And we want to clean the heat exchanger if flue temperatures are more than 54 degrees above your return water temperature. So speaking of cleaning the heat exchanger, again, it's going to be if combustion or performance indicate the need for it, we will then clean it. We will also remove and clean the burner using compressed air only. Very important. I met a plumber about a month ago who was having some issues. They turned out to be due to improper venting, but when I asked him to please remove and clean the burner, he used an 18-volt Milwaukee leaf blower, and it didn't exactly do the job. So we like to just make sure that you understand that we want to use compressed air. Then we want to clean the blower wheel as well. All right, let's check out another video.
Heat exchanger access and cleaning. Locate the on-off switch on the side of the unit. Turn the switch to the off position. Turn off the main gas supply to the unit at the external main manual gas valve. Grasp the top panel at the lower edge. Lift the panel up and pull it away from the unit. Then grasp the front panel at the top edge. Pull the panel away and up from the unit. Remove the screw from the cover on the control panel and remove the panel by pulling away and up from the unit. Locate the ribbon cable from the display board to the main control board. Remove the cable from the control board. Using a Phillips head screwdriver, remove the 4 screws securing the bezel to the unit and remove the bezel from the front of the unit. Then locate and disconnect the 2 wiring harness connections on the combustion blower. Now remove the wiring from the flame rod, spark igniter, and ground terminals from the heat exchanger door. Next, remove the rubber hose from the air intake pipe and loosen the band clamp securing the air inlet to the Venturi. Now, loosen the union on the Venturi. You should now remove the 4 Allen head screws securing the combustion blower to the unit. You can now slide the combustion blower and Venturi assembly to the right and remove from the unit. A gasket is used to seal between the combustion air blower and the heat exchanger door. Care must be taken not to tear or damage the gasket or air shutter if equipped. If a gasket is damaged or torn, it must be replaced. Now remove the nuts securing the heat exchanger door to the heat exchanger. And carefully remove the heat exchanger door. A gasket is used to seal between the heat exchanger door and the heat exchanger. Care must be taken not to tear or damage a gasket. If a gasket is damaged or torn, then it must be replaced. Locate and remove the condensate drain line from the condensate trap and route directly to a drain. Inspect the heat exchanger surface and combustion chamber wall for any soot deposits or dirt accumulation. Using a vacuum cleaner, remove any loose debris from the heat exchanger. Brush the heat exchanger surface, flue tube entry points, and the combustion chamber wall with a nylon brush. Then re-vacuum the heat exchanger to remove debris. And rinse the debris from the heat exchanger with a low-pressure water supply. Once the cleaning process is complete, reconnect the condensate drain line to the condensate trap. Then, replace the heat exchanger door and secure it to the heat exchanger. If equipped with an air shutter, replace the shutter and then replace the combustion air blower and Venturi to the heat exchanger door. Then tighten the union on the Venturi. Now tighten the band clamp securing the air inlet to the Venturi and reattach the rubber hose to the air intake pipe. Reconnect the wiring from the flame rod, spark igniter, and ground terminals to the heat exchanger door. And reconnect the two wiring harness connections to the combustion blower. Now replace the bezel to the front of the unit and install and tighten the 4 screws securing the bezel. Now reconnect the limit cable from the display to the main control board. Now turn on the main gas supply to the unit at the external main manual gas valve. Turn the on-off switch to the on position. Locate the pinhole button on the display. Using a paperclip or something similar, press and hold the button for 5 seconds. The word service will appear in the status line of the display. The unit will fire at its normal ignition speed and will then modulate its firing rate to 100%. During service mode, the control will ignore all other heat demands. However, all safeties and maximum set point temperatures will be active. So if no other buttons are pushed, the control will automatically revert back to its original state after the service mode delay has expired. The default time for service mode delay is 10 minutes. Using a leak test solution, check the connections for leaks. Seal any leaks before placing the unit into operation. Once the testing is completed, press the right select key to take the unit out of service mode. The unit will return to normal operation. Replace the top and front panels on the unit. The unit is now ready to accept the heat demand.
Heat exchanger access and cleaning.
Heat exchanger access and cleaning. Locate the on-off switch on the back of the unit. Turn the switch to the off position. Turn off the main gas supply to the unit at the external main manual gas valve. Grasp the top panel at the front lower edge. Lift the panel up and pull it away from the unit. Grasp the front panel at the top edge. Pull the panel away and up from the unit. Locate the ribbon cable from the display board to the main control board. Remove the cable from the main control board. Using a Phillips screwdriver, remove the 6 screws securing the bezel to the unit. Remove the bezel from the front of the unit. Locate and disconnect the 2 wiring harness connections on the combustion blower. For 151 through 286 models use a 4mm Allen wrench to remove the screws securing the gas valve Venturi to the inlet of the combustion blower. For 400 models, use a 5mm Allen wrench to remove the screws securing the gas valve Venturi to the inlet of the combustion blower. For 501 models, disconnect the gas train at the union. Disconnect the reference hose from the air inlet pipe. Using a 1/4-inch deep well socket or wrench, remove the hose barb from the air inlet pipe. Using a 5/16-inch nut driver, loosen the band clamp securing the air inlet coupling. Slide the coupling out and away from the gas-air shroud. For 601 through 801 models, use a 6mm Allen wrench to remove the screws securing the gas valve Venturi to the inlet of the combustion blower. Remove the wiring from the flame rod, spark igniter, and ground terminal from the front of the heat exchanger door. Using a 10mm socket or wrench, remove the nuts securing the heat exchanger door to the heat exchanger. Carefully remove the heat exchanger door with the blower and gas air arm still attached. Inspect the coils for any soot deposits or dirt accumulation. Use a vacuum cleaner. Remove any loose debris from the heat exchanger coils. Brush the heat exchanger coils using the nylon wheel brush supplied in the optional stainless steel cleaning kit supplied by Lochinvar, or with a stiff bristle brush. Re-vacuum the heat exchanger coils to remove debris. Once the heat exchanger is clean, carefully reinstall the heat exchanger door and secure it with the 10mm nuts. Reconnect the wiring from the flame rod, spark igniter, and ground terminal to the front of the heat exchanger door. For the 151 through 400 models and the 601 through 801 models, install and tighten the screws securing the gas valve Venturi to the inlet of the combustion blower. For 501 models, slide the air inlet coupling back into the gas-air shroud and tighten the band clamp. Reinstall the hose barb on the air inlet pipe and reconnect the reference hose. Reconnect the gas train at the union. Reconnect the 2 wiring harness connections to the combustion blower. Replace the bezel on the front of the unit. Install and tighten the 6 screws securing the bezel to the unit. Reconnect the ribbon cable from the display to the main control board. Turn on the main gas supply to the unit at the external main manual gas valve. Turn the on-off switch to the heat exchanger access.
Hold on. We froze. See if I can fast forward this here. Guess that was it.
Heat exchanger access and cleaning.
Okay. Combustion analysis. Well, as all the videos have shown, we have to turn the main power off to the unit. I think everyone has that by now. We do want to remove the flue temperature sensor from the flue pipe connection, obviously turning the main power off or turning the main power back onto the unit, and then place the unit into standby mode by pressing the shutdown button on the display. pretty much the ranges we want to see when it comes to natural gas or LP on your CO2 and your O2. CO2 for natural gas units, 8% to 10% is a normal reading. On O2, 3% to 6.5% normal reading. And on your propane gas models, the CO2 we like to see 9 to 11, and on the O2 around 4 to 6.9. All these readings are taken at high fire. Lochinvar,
How
you.
to perform combustion analysis. Locate the on-off switch on the side of the unit. Turn the switch to the off position. Locate and remove the plug from the supplied vent fitting. Turn the on-off switch to the on position. Locate the pinhole button on the display. Using a paperclip or something similar, press and hold the button for 5 seconds. The word service will appear in the status line of the display. The unit will fire at its normal ignition speed and will then modulate its firing rate to 100%. During service mode, the control will ignore all other heat demands. However, all safeties and maximum set point temperatures will be active. So if no other buttons are pushed, the control will automatically revert back to its original state after the service mode delay has expired. The default time for service mode delay is 10 minutes. Once a unit has modulated its firing rate up to 100%, insert the probe from a combustion analyzer into the hole left by the removal of the plug and measure the combustion. Refer to the flue products table in the service manual for proper combustion levels. If the combustion levels are not within the specified ranges, several items could be the cause. Verify that the vent and air intake pipes are installed correctly. Reference the venting section of the installation and operation manual that was supplied with the unit for proper installation methods. Verify that there are no blockages or obstruction in the vent or air intake pipes at the termination points. Refer to the video, How to Measure Inlet Gas Pressure, to determine if an adequate gas pressure has been delivered to the unit. Refer to the video, Burner Removal and Cleaning, to determine if the burner is damaged or is in need of cleaning. Refer to the video, Heat Exchanger Access and Cleaning, to determine if the heat exchanger is in need of cleaning. If the combustion levels are still not within the specified ranges after reviewing the possible causes, adjustment of the gas valve may be necessary. Grasp the front panel at the top edge. Pull the panel away and up from the unit. Locate the throttle adjustment screw. And using a 3mm Allen wrench, turn the adjustment screw 1/4 turn clockwise to decrease CO2 levels and 1/4 turn counterclockwise to increase CO2 levels. After one adjustment to the valve, take time to allow the combustion to stabilize and recheck the combustion levels. If the combustion levels are still not within the specified range, repeat the adjustment procedure. If after 4 adjustments the combustion levels are still not within the specified range, revisit the other possible causes or replace the gas valve. Once the combustion analysis is complete, press the right select key to take the unit out of service mode. The unit will return to normal operation. Turn the on-off switch to the off position. You can now replace the front panel on the unit. Replace the plug from the vent fitting. Turn the on-off switch to the on position. The unit is now ready to accept the heat demand.
Burner cleaning.
Burner removal and cleaning. Locate the on-off switch on the side of the unit. Turn the switch to the off position. Turn off the main gas supply to the unit at the external main manual gas valve. Grasp the top panel at the lower edge. Lift the panel up and pull it away from the unit. Then grasp the front panel at the top edge. Pull the panel away and up from the unit. Remove the screw from the cover on the control panel. and remove the panel by pulling away and up from the unit. Locate the ribbon cable from the display board to the main control board. Remove the cable from the control board. Using a Phillips head screwdriver, remove the 4 screws securing the bezel to the unit, and remove the bezel from the front of the unit. Then locate and disconnect the 2 wiring harness connections on the combustion blower. Now remove the wiring from the flame rod, spark igniter, and ground terminals from the heat exchanger door. Next, remove the rubber hose from the air intake pipe and loosen the band clamp securing the air inlet to the Venturi. Now, loosen the union on the Venturi. You should now remove the 4 Allen head screws securing the combustion blower to the unit. You can now slide the combustion blower and Venturi assembly to the right and remove from the unit. A gasket is used to seal between the combustion air blower and the heat exchanger door. Care must be taken not to tear or damage the gasket or air shutter if equipped. If a gasket is damaged or torn, it must be replaced. Now remove the nuts securing the heat exchanger door to the heat exchanger. And carefully remove the heat exchanger door. A gasket is used to seal between the heat exchanger door and the heat exchanger. Care must be taken not to tear or damage a gasket. If a gasket is damaged or torn, then it must be replaced. Using a Torx wrench, remove the screws securing the igniter and flame rod to the heat exchanger door, and then remove. Now remove the insulating refractory from the heat exchanger door. Be sure to inspect the insulating refractory for damage. If the refractory is damaged, it must be replaced. Now, using an Allen wrench, remove the screws securing the burner to the heat exchanger door. A gasket is used to seal between the burner and the heat exchanger door. Care must be taken not to tear or damage a gasket. If a gasket is damaged or torn, then it must be replaced. Once removed, inspect the burner for any physical damage. If the burner is damaged, it must be replaced. If no damage is observed, clean the burner by using compressed air and a vacuum. The cleaning process will be slightly different based on the model. For models 55 through 85, use compressed air and a vacuum. For models 110 through 155, use compressed air. For models 199 through 285, use compressed air and a vacuum. Now reattach the burner to the heat exchanger door. And reinstall the refractory. Reattach the igniter and flame rod to the heat exchanger door as well. Then, replace the heat exchanger door and secure it to the heat exchanger. If equipped with an air shutter, replace the shutter and then replace the combustion air blower and Venturi to the heat exchanger door. Then tighten the union on the Venturi. Now tighten the band clamp securing the air inlet to the Venturi and reattach the rubber hose to the air intake pipe. Reconnect the wiring from the flame rod, spark igniter, and ground terminals to the heat exchanger door. and reconnect the two wiring harness connections to the combustion blower. Now replace the bezel to the front of the unit and install and tighten the 4 screws securing the bezel. Now reconnect the ribbon cable from the display to the main control board. Now turn on the main gas supply to the unit at the external main manual gas valve. Turn the on-off switch to the on position. Locate the pinhole button on the display. Using a paperclip or something similar, press and hold the button for 5 seconds. The word service will appear in the status line of the display. The unit will fire at its normal ignition speed and will then modulate its firing rate to 100%. During service mode, the control will ignore all other heat demands. However, all safeties and maximum set point temperatures will be active. So if no other buttons are pushed, the control will automatically revert back to its original state after the service mode delay has expired. The default time for service mode delay is 10 minutes. Using a leak test solution, check the connections for leaks. Seal any leaks before placing the unit into operation. Once the testing is completed, press the right select key to take the unit out of service mode. The unit will return to normal operation. Replace the top and front panels on the unit. The unit is now ready to accept the heat demand.
I hope you're finding these videos useful. Again, they are available to you as part of Lochinvar University. The next video is on burner removal and cleaning on the Noble. So we've covered the Night here just now in the FTXL or the FTX series. The Noble has gained quite a bit of popularity over the last 4 years since it's been introduced to the market. It's a wall hung boiler only and a wall hung combination boiler water heater. Again, stainless steel fire tube design, great product, easy to service, easy to access, easy to install. Venting's a breeze. And so the next video touches on the removal and cleaning of the Noble burner.
Burner removal and cleaning. Turn off the main power. Then turn off the main gas supply to the unit at the external main manual gas valve. If the unit has been in operation, allow the unit to cool to room temperature before proceeding. Then remove the front access panel. Using a Phillips head screwdriver, remove the screw securing the top left access panel to the unit and remove it. Then locate and disconnect the gas valve wiring harness and reference hose from the gas valve. Then locate and disconnect the two wiring harness connections to the fan assembly. And locate and remove the wiring from the spark igniter and ground terminal. Now, using a 3mm Allen wrench, remove the 4 screws that secure the gas valve flange to the gas valve assembly. Loosen the union that secures the gas valve adapter to the Venturi and remove the gas valve from the unit. Using a 5/16" nut driver, loosen the ratchet clamp that secures the air intake piping to the Venturi assembly. Then, using a 5/16" wrench or socket, remove the 4 screws that secure the fan assembly to the heat exchanger top plate. Now remove the fan assembly and Venturi from the unit. A gasket is used to seal between the fan assembly and the heat exchanger top plate. Care must be taken not to tear or damage a gasket. If a gasket is damaged or torn, it must be replaced. Using a 7/16" wrench, loosen the 2 nuts securing the inlet gas pipe bracket to the inlet gas pipe. Then, using a 10mm wrench, remove the nuts that secure the heat exchanger top plate to the heat exchanger. Swing the inlet gas pipe bracket out of the way and remove the heat exchanger top plate. A gasket is used to seal between the heat exchanger top plate and the heat exchanger. Using a T20 Torx driver, remove the 2 screws securing the igniter to the heat exchanger top plate and remove. A gasket is used to seal between the igniter and the heat exchanger top plate. Using a 5mm Allen wrench, remove the 2 screws and washers that secure the insulating refractory material to the bottom of the heat exchanger top plate, and carefully remove the insulating refractory from the heat exchanger top plate. Inspect the insulating refractory for damage. If the refractory is damaged, it must be replaced. Now, using a 5mm Allen wrench, remove the 6 screws that secure the burner assembly to the top of the heat exchanger top plate. A gasket is used to seal between the burner and the heat exchanger top plate. Once removed, inspect the burner for any physical damage. If the burner is damaged, it must be replaced. If no damage is observed, slowly clean the burner by using compressed air to blow through the surface of the burner. This process may take some time depending on the level of contamination. Now reattach the burner to the heat exchanger top plate and reinstall the insulating refractory on the heat exchanger top plate. Then reattach the igniter to the heat exchanger top plate and replace the heat exchanger top plate and secure it to the heat exchanger. If equipped, replace the air shutter and then replace the fan assembly to the heat exchanger top plate. Reconnect the air intake piping to the fan assembly. Then reinstall the gas valve. Now, reconnect the wiring from the spark igniter and ground terminal, the 2 wiring harness connections on the combustion blower, and gas valve wiring harness and reference hose to the gas valve. And turn on the main gas supply to the unit at the external main manual gas valve. Now turn on the main power to the unit. Press and hold the right arrow and down arrow buttons simultaneously for 5 seconds. A wrench will appear on the status line of the display. The unit will fire at its normal ignition speed and will then modulate its firing rate to 100%. During service mode, the control will ignore all other heat demands. However, all safeties and maximum set point temperatures will be active. During this time, use a leak test solution to check all connections for leaks. Seal any leaks before placing the unit into operation. Refer to the video, How to Perform a Combustion Analysis, to check and set the combustion levels. Once testing is completed, press the left arrow button to take the unit out of service mode. Replace the top and front access panels, and the unit will now be ready to accept a heat demand.
The Noble heat exchanger cleaning.
Replacing the brazed plate heat exchanger. Turn off the main power to the unit. If the unit has been in operation, allow the unit to cool to room temperature before proceeding. Close the valves on the water piping and drain both the primary and brazed plate heat exchangers. Remove the front access panel from the unit. Using a 4mm Allen wrench, remove the screws securing the inlet and outlet flow groups to the brazed plate heat exchanger. Then slide the brazed plate heat exchanger away from the inlet and outlet flow groups and remove from the unit. Now remove and replace the gaskets used to seal the brazed plate heat exchanger to the inlet and outlet flow groups. Install the new brazed plate heat exchanger and reattach it to the inlet and outlet flow groups with the 2 screws. Open the valves on the water piping and check all connections for any leaks. Seal any leaks before placing the unit into operation. Now replace the front access panel and turn on the main power to the unit. Refer to the video, How to Purge Air from the Primary Heat Exchanger, to remove any trapped air from the primary heat exchanger. The unit is now ready to accept a heat demand.
Owners have the ability to run their own maintenance checkup, and this can be left behind for them as part of the literature. They could find this on their own. Of course, you can do this for them as part of a contract. Troubleshooting. So again, we have a great means to detect why something might be failing down. We'll give you causes that match up with your fault and a corrective action plan. So this illustration just points that out. Pretty simple. This is one program I have a lot of fun running around and talking up with the contractors and installers, because if installing Lochinvar isn't rewarding enough, we have a way to make it just that much more rewarding, and that is by lining your pockets with some money based on products you install being eligible. So if you're not already a part of the Lochinvar VIP contractor program, please enroll. It's just a few clicks to enroll. It's no obligation. It doesn't cost you anything except your time to enroll. I suggest if you are a VIP member that you re-enroll, because the program was changed in the fall of 2020 and there's been some enhancements, and you do need to re-enroll. So please check that out. That can be found at lochinvarvip.com. Here's a little idea of some program rewards based on eligible models. So we're showing a whole bunch of night models, WHBs, WHNs, KHNs, KHB models, and their sizes that are eligible to earn you $125 per unit installed as part of the VIP contractor program. So you'll see below some other eligible products that are you're rewarded on, and that being the KBNs, WBNs, WHNs, and the Nobles and Squires. So indirect water heaters, and the Noble wall hung boiler, combination boiler, are also part of this program. In addition to just being rewarded monetarily for buying and installing products, is we have what we call an installation showcase. So that gives you the ability to show off your work. And they run monthly contests with a first place, second, and third place category, where you can win a free boiler. Choices up to 399,000 BTU. You can win $250. You can win $100. 3 overall top performers receive a free night boiler of their choice. I just touched on that, but and then there's a reward mall. So now you have the control over your reward. Funds are automatically added once you're set up, and they can be redeemed whenever and in whatever increment, and you choose from certain retailer gift cards or Visa prepaid cards. So great program. Again, full details on LochinvarVip.com. So you've seen a few slides that started and ended with Lochinvar U. I touched on that as well. This gives us an example of the content available for you on Lochinvar U. So let's go and view the programming and setup wizard. It was not a live video, but that just gives you that just gives you a snapshot of the content that you'll find available to you on LochinvarU.com. And again, here's the address. So what are we summarizing here? Basically, Lochinvar has the broadest product of condensing and non-condensing gas boilers and water heaters in the industry. Wallace Ennis as the representative here, has the broadest product offering of pumps and hydronic accessories and the right team of experts to help you make your next project a success. Let us work for you. As a manufacturer's rep, we pride ourselves in being a full service rep. We like to roll up our sleeves, get out there and assist on projects and etc. Again, let us help you. We're ready if you are. That ends the slideshow, everyone. Thank you for your time today. And I don't see any more questions, but certainly we'll stick around for a few more minutes if you want to shoot any questions into the chat box.